Monday. We're still on the air. Apparently, the FCC has not come after us yet. Great. Matt Patrick here today. Guest free today. I was looking at maybe a humdinger of a day, but I'll save those interviews for later. Patrick, how are we today?
Doing pretty well. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I'll get into that as we go here, but you actually gave me a heads up here on some breaking news that we want to make sure we get to because it involves Mr. Jimmy Kimmel, correct?
Yes, that's correct. He has been reinstated and he will have a new show on the air tomorrow.
I guarantee. I mean, we used to kind of look at these clowns on the right that did these protest stuff. And once again, their allegations against Kimmel were pretty much based on certain things he did not say. And they basically went on out there and went after him. And I remember the days when we used to look at these people that are like, I'm never watching the NFL again. Remember that one? Oh my God, that was Mike Pence and that they're taking a knee. Was that taking the knee back in like 2017?
Yeah, that was taking the knee. As you said, we're never watching it again.
No, gosh, I'm sure no Republican has ever watched another NFL game. Or, yeah, we're never going to Disney World. Yep. Oh, sure. Yep. Used to kind of look at that, but there you go. Kimmel back on the air tomorrow night. It should be what I believe the term is humdinger of a show. I'm going to, I'll tell you what, I know they lost a lot of money. Wow. All right. We'll have to see how that goes. 952-946-6205. So you remember not this last weekend, Patrick, that the weekend beforehand, I was in Chicago. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I did the boat tour. You've done the boat tour too, the architecture tour down there, right?
I don't think I have, no.
Okay. You should. It's worthwhile. City View, I think, is the place, people that do it. It's fantastic. As a person who is not a resident, I went down there. I felt like I learned a lot about the history of the city and just the nature of the buildings and how the city became the city on that tour. It was great. One of the features was the river. Now, this is the part where, they got into this. We go down on the boat. I'm looking down, and there are kayakers in the Chicago River, of course, which connects to Lake Michigan. And I thought, oh, wow, that's cool, man. How come I've never heard of this? Now, I've heard of them dumping the green dye in the river at St. Patrick's Day. But it looks like as most of these upper Midwest states are, a waterland playground. And I'm like, oh, that looks fantastic. And the guy brought up, he said, oh yeah, the river, it's a little bit cleaner. I found that to be interesting because on Sunday on The Guardian, I posted this story on my timelines. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on this because I think this is such a good sign. Dave Matthews Band, who I appreciate you guys being in town for Farm Aid on Saturday night here in Minneapolis, them aside, and I'll get to that in a second, but hundreds of people have plunged into the Chicago River's chilly waters on Sunday as part of the first organized swim in the river in nearly 100 years. A previously unthinkable act when it once was the most befouled waterways in the world. About 300 people, some wearing wetsuits, jumped into the Chicago River for a mile-long looping swim on an early overcast Midwest morning, a feat made possible by the often unseen but crucial progress the U.S. has made in regards to cleaning up the river. They absolutely have. Over the past half century, from the toxic pollution, it's overwhelming to see this happen. It's unbelievable to see swimmers swim past us now, said Doug McConnell, the main organizer of the event. McConnell, a Chicago area native and co-founder of A Long Swim, has been pushing the city's leadership for more than a decade to allow swimming in the river, the first such event since 1927. Having witnessed the blossoming urban river swimming movement take hold in the cities such as Paris, Munich, and Amsterdam. Seeing what that really planted a seed that we are thrilled to finally be doing this and it has got global attention. We had applications from the U.S. and 13 countries to come swimming in the Chicago River. McConnell didn't leap into the water on Sunday, but is an accomplished long-distance swimmer, having traversed the English Channel, which he recalls as 14 hours of getting slapped around. Oh, I've been to England, too. I think the water conditions will surprise people because it was cleaner than they expected. the psychology of so many Chicagoans that the river was untouchable, that this isn't true, and we're proving this today. My grandfather grew up in Chicago, and I think it was reputation all around the world as the river having absolute toxic reputation then. It was repulsive, absolutely untouchable. The Chicago River's long history of being meddled with. Each year it is dyed green for the St. Patrick's Day. And infamously in 2004, the Dave Matthews Band tour bus released 800 pounds of human waste through a bridge grate that landed on top of one of the boats on the unfortunate sightseers traveling the river. Seriously, that is still one of the, Dave Matthews Band is not going to live that down. And I don't, at what point the bus driver thought that was a good idea, I don't know. But, and we went under that bridge, by the way. We went under that bridge. Yeah. Chicago initially grew by treating its slow-moving river as an unfettered dumping area. Sewage and other waste routinely funneled into the river, including carcasses and effluents from the huge slaughterhouses that clustered beside the waterway, to the extent that a section of the river is still called Bubble Creek due to the gas given off by the rotting sludge in the riverbed. The river became so foul, causing deadly outbreaks of cholera and typhoid, that the city took the extraordinary step in 1900 of reversing the river flow by creating a system of canals and locks to avoid Chicago's source of drinking water from Lake Michigan becoming poisoned. By the way, and just FYI, apparently Lake Michigan is 6 feet higher than the river. So when they did this, it actually was a pretty big environmental mistake, because it started draining off the water of Lake Michigan down into the river. People downstream from down the river from Chicago were not happy about this. The other states on the Great Lakes were not happy about this, because, reminder, Huron and Michigan are basically one big lake. So yeah, it ended up causing some problems. So they had to create a system there to prevent the water from going back into the river. They had to stop doing that. We treated the river like it was a sewage system, which haunted us, said Margaret Frisbee. Really? The executive director of Friends of Chicago River, and a Frisbee enthusiast, maybe. Riverside building typically didn't have windows overlooking that, known as the stinking river. There are still some of the buildings there that actually have a shocking lack of windows on the riverfront. Until just a few years ago, people would thought it would be outrageous to jump into it. They said the Friends of the Chicago River formed in 1979 with a vision to restore the ecological function of the river that can be enjoyed by people and wildlife. People thought we were crazy. Now, if I remember correctly, so the guy Andrew that did the tour, who was fantastic, and it was one of the best tours I've ever done like that, so worth it. He was fantastic. Andrew said at one point there was only 3 fish species in the river, which is pretty remarkable. I mean, that tells you how toxic it was. Today, basically, pretty much every natural species has returned. Over 24 species of fish are in the Chicago River. I'm sure they appreciated all the swimmers. But I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I absolutely do. I think it's fantastic that is going on. And it only makes Chicago more appealing, frankly, because I'll tell you what, that was that river area, now that it's not stinky and now it's actually kind of gorgeous, is just an amazing highlight. I mean, it is fantastic. And so good for them. That is great to see. And a big salute to the people of Chicago for cleaning that up and turning that into now kind of a jewel in the Chicago crown there. I think that's fantastic. And I think there's other places. I know Cleveland has been trying to get their river cleaned up. I think they're not having as much luck. But I have to tell you, I mean, it's too. We've had places in Minnesota here that we finally took it seriously and said we got to clean this up. We stopped up, especially Lake Superior, the taconite runoff that they had up there that was killing all the fish up on Lake Superior. On Lake Superior, we finally cleaned that up. But if the Republicans get their way, it will be toxic, toxic, toxic everywhere you go. Speaking of Republicans and toxic, it's not good right now if you're a farmer, especially if you're a soybean farmer. China's reluctance to buy new U.S. soybeans could affect most farmers in the Dakotas. There are 2 states up there, by the way, FYI. I don't know why, but there are. University of Minnesota Extension grain economist David Uset says bean acres in North and South Dakota have been have risen significantly in the past 3 decades. And that's why they do with those soybeans. Most of them get shipped off to China. They aren't buying. Soybean basis levels in central North Dakota are as much as $1.75 under the November futures contract. It tells you all about you need to know about the export prospects of soybeans. It's really terrible. And so it's basically $2 cheaper for soybeans in the Dakotas right now. And the last I checked, wasn't it like $7 per bushel, maybe high 7s? You can't make money off that. And there have been reports of the grain elevators in the Dakotas not taking soybeans anymore. The U.S. agricultural trade deficit ballooned to a record $28.6 billion in the first half of 25, driven in large part by collapsing soybean exports to China. Meanwhile, going down to Iowa, House Republicans narrowly voted on Tuesday again to cede congressional power over tariffs to Trump, adopting a measure that blocks challenges to his global tariff declarations through March of 2026. Iowa's 4 U.S. House members, all Republicans, all voted in favor of tormenting the Iowa farmer. Iowa soybean farmers say the pain is showing up everywhere on the farm in sharply higher input costs, thinner marketing options, and growing worry. And there was also an amazing level of there's a farmer that just was losing it. He's saying, do you understand how hard it is just to even get tractor parts if you can afford them? Because the steel tariffs that are in place on machinery parts, and it's not just them, it's construction equipment, it's large manufacturing equipment. You can't get parts for these things now, and when you can get them, they're grossly expensive. And matter of fact, there's now a push to try to create some sort of build your own parts system, which is I don't think that's going to go over too well. Anyway, hey, things are going great. Most of those farmers, by the way, still have faith in Trump. Still have faith in Trump. Good luck with all that, guys. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Come get me something I can feel. So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Join us for Sundays Reimagined or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Looking for community without doctrine? Questions without judgment? Think outside the pew. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis or live stream at firstunitarian.org.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Find a wide selection of outdoor hearth products at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether you prefer wood or gas, Woodland Stoves has the fire to fit your home. Pizza aficionados know nothing matches masonry oven baking for capturing flavor and nutrition. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can easily install one in your home or business. Enthusiasts use these ovens year-round for bread making, wood roasting, even grilling.
The mission and passion of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is to make the fire work for you. The way humans relate to fire is primordial. We have used fire to warm our bodies, cook our meals, and kindle our spirits. Our team has the know-how to do this in a clean burning and environmentally smart way. Visit our store and experience the diversity. We have over 35 working units on display at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin. See us online at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that fits and works for you.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hey, it's Mitch, owner of Junk Masters, your local independently owned junk removal team. We are not a franchise, and that means personalized service you can count on. Spring's a season for cleaning out the things you're ready to let go of. Whether it's one item or a full property cleanout, we handle it all, residential or commercial. You just show us what goes. With same-day service, upfront, no-obligation pricing, and a landfill diversion program that prioritizes donating, recycling, and reuse. Visit junkmastersmn.com to learn more.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us here. 952-946-6205. So I want to talk a little bit about the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Actually, I want to ask you a quick question here, Patrick. There's a dog toy here on the table. I just noticed this. Whose dog was in here? Or is it, do we have a secret about one of the on-air hosts?
I think actually, I am not 100% sure, but I think I know who that might belong to.
Okay. Is it a comfort animal? I mean, I want to play with it. I'm thinking about putting it in my mouth right now. I can I put that in my mouth, or has that been in someone else's mouth?
I would guess it's probably been in a dog's mouth. I wouldn't go there.
All right. You just cleaned your what you say. Okay. Just all of a sudden there's a dog toy there. Like, oh wait, that's not normal. All right. Okay. 952-946-6205. Okay, so I want to start with the Kirk Memorial yesterday. I want to start with Trump. So if you've seen any of the photos of Trump with Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, you know, it's a moment I think it was at the end of the event where Trump comes down to show some level of compassion. I want you to look at Trump's face in every one of those photos, because every one of them I've seen, Trump has the same look on it. The look of a person who has no idea how to show empathy for anyone. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, and that's him. That is Trump. Emotions, empathy, these are things he considers evil because they just don't push the bottom line. And it tells me a lot about family upbringing, that for sure. But look at those pictures. That is a grandpa that whenever he's confronted with a child who's crying, gives him $20 and basically says, get out of here. Yeah, that is how he has no idea how to show compassion and empathy in a situation where it is required. He looks like he's completely lost. Stephen Miller showed up. He delivered a venomous speech at the right-wing memorial service. That his speech bore a close resemblance to one given by a notorious Nazi leader in a similar event, according to reports. White House Deputy Chief of Staff and top advisor to Trump called on mourners to honor the slain 31-year-old by channeling their grief into action against their political enemies, using language that mirrored a 1932 speech given by Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels during invoking the memory of a 22-year-old paramilitary activist who'd turned him into a fascist martyr within the Nazi party early on. Here is from Miller's speech. The day that Charlie died, the angels wept, though those tears have been turned into the fire in our hearts, and that the fire burns with a righteous fury that our enemies cannot comprehend or understand, Miller said, paying tribute to Kirk's widow, Erica. But I see Erica and her strength and her courage. I'm reminded of a famous expression the White House advisor said, the storm whispers in the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength, and that the warrior whispers, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm. Our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion. Numerous social media users pointed out how closely Miller's themes and word choices resembled the speech from Goebbels used to elevate Horst Wessel, a young member of the stormtroopers who was killed in 1930 by members of the Communist Party of Germany. His political martyrdom inspired the Nazi Party's official anthem, which later became the country's co-official anthem. Stephen Miller's speech to Charlie Kirk was essentially plagiarized, posted podcaster Jim Stewartson, who went on to list several examples. See if you can spot the similarities. So here is Joseph Goebbels' speech that he made. So our dead comrade Horst Wessel wrote, and we are fulfilling his prophecy. The others may lie, slander, and pour on the scorn on us. The political days are numbered. They promise you, workers, citizens, and creative journalists, the Reich of freedom and beauty and dignity. People rise up and storm, break loose. This accurate, near verbatim translation of key passages from Goebbels' speech, titled "The Storm is Coming." That's the name of his. You remember the storm? Yeah, his Goebbels' speech was "The Storm is Coming." He delivered it July 9th, 1932, in Berlin. And another person commenting on Stewart's post, this was a campaign rally speech to the lead up to the July 31st, 1932 Reichstag elections, where the Nazi Party achieved its peak pre-1933 electoral success. Goebbels then went on to the Nazi, Gaultier of Berlin, used the speech to rally supporters by invoking martyrdom of Horst Wessel, the young Nazi stormtrooper, later mythologized in Nazi propaganda as the author of their anthem, "The Horst Wessel Lied, Wake Up America," sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. That Stephen Miller basically copied at the very least, you can say he invoked the style of a Nazi in his speech yesterday. You pretty much can say he copied some passages almost verbatim. Yeah. I want to also bring up just one thing here, because there is a never-ending part of this, which I always find to be very entertaining. And that is how many people actually showed up for this event. Most of the news accounts said tens of thousands of people. And by all accounts, the State Farm Stadium where they held this was full. Now, initial reports said 63,000, but I actually think the number was closer to 73,000, because like a lot of these arenas, they have different configurations. And if you're not putting on a major rock concert or something like this, you just need a kind of a one stage, you can kind of open it up more. So I think 73,000 sounds about right. I would not question that. The number that Fox News and Turning Point USA put out was 95,000 were in attendance, including the Overflow Arena crowd next door. Apparently the next door was the Desert Diamond Arena, which I believe was the former ice arena for the Arizona Coyotes. And they had some people in there. Now, here's the thing, which I don't quite know. I don't know if that is I don't know if that is the legit number, 95,000, 90. A lot of people have said 90 to 100 on the right. You know, kind of the more traditional news outlets like The Hill on the right and New York Times was on the right. They basically have said 90 to 100,000, but I couldn't find one picture from inside the Desert Diamond Arena showing me the backup arena crowd size. I could not find one. There was one person who wrote that it clearly was only about, a quarter to a third full, which might fall in line with the numbers there. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But here's the funny part. That's what is it that many people? I don't know. My guess is a few thousand less, but fine. Not too outrageous as an exaggeration. The further right the news organization, the larger the number became. The New York Post is running with 200,000 people, which clearly was not as many people showed up. But some of the far right outlets are going with 300,000 people. No, that clearly was not that many people there. And they left a mess behind. I'll talk more in a second. It's the Matt McNeil Show. And awake in your mouth. Hi, it's Matt McNeil. Listen to the Matt McNeil Show from 3 until 5 weekday afternoons right here on the progressive voice of Minnesota, AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Call me now at 651-303-8889 so we can strategize together.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, partly cloudy with a high of 73. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 58. Don't miss your chance to set sail with Treasure Island this fall at Children's Theater Company. Join young Jim Hawkins and the infamous Long John Silver on an adventure packed with pirates, sword fights, live music, and heart-pounding action. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today at childrenstheater.org.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Broadcasting in the evenings in Chicago, WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, quick hello to the Hoffman, Senator Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who, of course, obviously victims of Vance Belter, who apparently has now come on out and said he indeed was a Republican, voted for Trump in all three of the last elections. Yeah. Anyway, I want to thanks for the link on that. I appreciate it. And Yvette, all my best to you and your family. Love you guys. Hopefully everything is going better for you. All right. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to get back to this thing with the rally here and kind of the whole thing that's going on. By the way, when I mentioned that you've got to see the video of the amount of trash that was just left outside of the arena by the attendants. It is amazing how much trash these people just left, just dropped their stuff, dropped their leftover bags of fast food, their lawn chairs, just left them all there and walked away and basically expected the city that hosted this event to clean it all up for them. Ugh, not good. There is this, and I want to call it somewhat comical, attempt to rebrand Charlie Kirk as something that he was not. And frankly, he was proud of what he actually was. He never We talked about how he was a uniter, he was a civil rights leader, he was hoping the best for his opponents. No, he wasn't. He vilified the people that he hated consistently. And that's why you guys on the right loved him. That's why you loved him. He said, it's happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That's a fact that's happening more and more. Charlie Kirk Show, 19 May 2023. I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who is a moronic black woman. I know that I wonder if she is there because of her excellence or is she there because of affirmative action. Charlie Kirk Show, January 3rd, 2024. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. This was on 26 August of this year. The Great Replacement Strategy is well underway every single day in the southern border. A strategy that replaced white rural America with something different. Charlie Kirk Show, March of last year, March 1. He says these things. You guys liked him because he did say these things. And when Trump goes on out there at the Kirk rally and says, I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them, at a memorial service, and the crowd at a memorial service cheers fervently for this. Remember, the same people who say the rhetoric, the toxic environment comes from the other side. Trump at the rally said, or at the memorial service, I hate my opponent. I don't want the best for them. To cheers and adulation. You guys love Trump. You guys love Charlie Kirk because they do go out and vilify and demean and insult and try to hurt the other side. That's why you guys like them. It is. That's why Charlie Kirk is popular. And that is an element of this country. And as a matter of fact, it leads me, and I there was something that came up, and I just sort of said, wait a second here. I think I understand it. Now I'm gonna explain something about the MAGA right. That's not about, this is, when I make this explanation, it's not about trying to get, compassion or understanding or, mild adoration. No, this is not about, you need to understand where this came from. And one of the things that has just, since they tried to say that he's a civil rights leader, of course, the first thing you say is, no, he's not. He was never a civil rights leader. He was for a very whites only, male structured, a Christo-fascist kind of, very, racist kind of thing. That's what he was for. I've got tons of quotes from him. That's what he wanted. So why are so many people on the MAGA right claiming he was a civil rights leader? And then all of a sudden it kind of dawned on me. There's a different perspective here. Not a good one. I'm going to be the first to say it. Not a good one, but there is a perspective here that I think I want to put out there. When Martin Luther King Jr. came through, a real civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr. was perceived by white America, particularly white rural and white Southern America, as this no good person trying to get freebies for the Black America. That's what they perceived it as. Now, he wasn't. He was just looking for equality for all. That's what he was looking for. And you have to understand how we got to the point of Martin Luther King. And it should help to understand that a lot of the MAGA people, if you want to know where the MAGA people came from, I want you to go back to the 1950s and the 1960s and go look at photos of people pouring ketchup and milkshakes on top of the heads of African Americans who dared sit at the white counter of a restaurant in this country. And it'd be easy to sort of say that was something that only happened in the South. It happened everywhere. Racist whites were furious. How dare these people not know their place? And let's get to that, their place. What does white America feel? And clearly this is something that we have not dealt with. What do they think is their place. We got to go back to the end of the Civil War. After the Civil War was over, I've talked about this numerous times. When the slaves were freed, white Southerners, and this is where a lot of this began, had the mentality of, fine, you're no longer slaves, but we are not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. And one of the most consummate examples of this back then was like farmers markets. I mean, a lot of slaves were able to get land and start farming, but they were not allowed to sell their product in the white farmers market. They had to sell that in there because and this idea came out that white America convinced themselves was some sort of a truth. Actually, I even don't think they knew it was a truth. I think it was their excuse they made to try to make themselves feel better about how horrible they were being. And that was, they have the same opportunities and chances as I had. They are on their own. And the reality wasn't. They weren't. They were, in a lot of places, weren't allowed to live in certain areas, buy a house, get a loan. They weren't able to start businesses. They weren't able to buy a car. They weren't able to go to decent schools. They weren't able to do all these things. So they never had the same opportunities and chances as white America did. But it was the lie they convinced themselves of. The Tulsa race riots, the black community down there still wasn't as equitable as the white community, but they were so threatened by them actually being successful that a bunch of dumb, stupid, white racist hicks in Oklahoma went out and killed a bunch of them and burned down their neighborhood. Why? Threat. They felt it was a threat. They liked the system that they had created, where white America was dominant over black America and any minority for that matter, the Native Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans. They liked this because it fueled their idea that this was some sort of equitable system, even though they had given themselves massive advantages over the other populations to succeed, but then criticized the minority populations for not being as successful as us, henceforth why they felt they were justified. And this was common. I go back to the cases in when they wouldn't let them go in the farmers markets. Well, they didn't have as much money, so they had to sell their product at a lesser price. And then when crops failed in the South with the white farmers, they would go raid the black farmers markets and basically throw a few pennies at them and say, good enough. If not, just go out there and steal their cattle or steal their crops. And the entire time, while they gave them no option for education, I mean, once again, you could not go to high school in South Carolina as a black person until 1948. That was the first time they even allowed a black person to get more than a junior high education. But yet, if you talk to white people back then, we've given them every opportunity. Bull. And Martin Luther King Jr. infuriated them because he was so good at pointing out the injustice in the system. And he was so good at it that he was actually starting to show white America, especially white Americans that had a conscience, that, wait a second, there is something here to this. That this system isn't fair. That it's not just that the black people have to sit in the back of the bus, it's just that they have no opportunity for advancement and are hence kept as a kept population by the white Americans. So as the rest of us look at Martin Luther King Jr. as a civil rights leader, MAGA America at that point, who were the people pouring milkshakes and ketchup on the heads of black people who were sitting at these counters, they sat there and looked at him as a troublemaker, somebody who was pushing an agenda. He doesn't want to give them equal rights. They want to take all your stuff. They want your white daughter. Oh, that's what they were saying. And that is their mentality. And it still is their mentality today, which, if I can back up, let's talk about how they perceive Charlie Kirk. They perceive him, Charlie Kirk, as a civil rights leader, not because he was a civil rights leader, but he pushed an agenda for one side, one small minority. And he would consistently say things which were atrocious, were bigoted, racist, homophobic, Islamophobic. He consistently said this. He said it with a smile on his face. That was who he was. And the right loved him for him. That's why he was popular. They loved him for that. And so I can kind of, to a point, understand how people in MAGA look at him and say civil rights leader, because for them, civil rights leader means something different than it does for the rest of us. For them, civil rights leader in the South was Martin Luther King Jr. sticking in his nose into people's business and changing things up and shaking up the system. How dare he do that? Well, Charlie Kirk was doing, in their mind, the same thing, only from a pro-white, pro-Christian, pro-male stance. There is one major difference here, though, which, before anyone thinks I'm trying to be apologetic or, trying to create some understanding, Martin Luther King Jr. fought for equality for all people. And you see, that's what infuriated white America. That is what infuriated white America. The idea of the minorities having equal rights, how dare they? Charlie Kirk was unapologetically pro one very specific group of people. And that's not equality. That's pushing to return to the days of inequality. Pushing to the days when there weren't any options. And look at everything that the Trump administration is doing right now to take away options for the minority population, quality education, health care, the ability to afford a house. It's an attempt to return to the pre-civil rights days. And that's why they love Charlie Kirk. That's why. And that's why I do think I understand, I don't condone, but I understand why they think of him as a civil rights leader, because their previous experience with a civil rights leader, they looked at him as an agitator, as somebody that was trying to shake up the system. We're perfectly fine with whites uber alles mentality. And it was. So there you go. I just wanted to address that because that's important. And I think we need to understand that. That is the Matt McNeil Show.
The Minneapolis Institute of Art invites you to experience Gatsby at 100, exploring how F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel, The Great Gatsby, both shaped and was shaped by the visual art of its time. This exhibition brings together works from Mia's collection that embody the decadence, excess, and social upheaval of Fitzgerald's most famous novel, highlighting paintings, books, and works on paper that are rarely on view. Come see it at Mia, always free and open to everyone. Learn more at artsmia.org.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, partly cloudy with a high of 73. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 58. Don't miss Sasha Colby's Strip 2 Tour, an electrifying blend of dance, storytelling, and drag artistry at the Fillmore Minneapolis, October 9th. Tickets at thefillmoreminneapolis.com. Listen to The Gately Show and The Matt McNeil Show all week for your chances to win.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Okay, so I want to, was it Ronnie Chang, the comedian Ronnie Chang, who's on The Daily Show? He had a stand-up special. He made actually one of the greatest points I have understood about how America kind of got into this mess that we're in right now, particularly with our economy. And that is that basically when they got rid of all the manufacturing jobs and they shipped them all overseas, the whole option was, well, all we had to do was take like math and engineering classes and we're going to be gold. We'll be making a lot of money. We won't miss the manufacturing jobs and we'll all be, trained in high-tech jobs and that will be the case. And he makes the point. It's like, you guys just didn't like math. That was the problem. Math was hard for you, so you decided not to, and now you're wondering where your manufacturing base is. Well, most of it's overseas, and no, Trump's not going to solve this. He's not, especially, I can tell you right now, the South Korean raid in Georgia, that has poisoned the idea of moving manufacturing back to this country, that they're rather take the tariffs than basically spend millions, maybe even billions of dollars to build a facility here, only to have half their staff rounded up every week because some Republican goes, minority, that sort of thing. So, yeah, it is, we have this problem in this country. We have plenty of jobs for people who major in engineering and in mathematics and statistics, can become actuarials and accountants. If you want to do that stuff, trust me, you're going to get a job. My son, Matt, majored in mathematics. He got hired fairly quickly. So did, he was at the School of Mathematics and Engineering over at the University of Minnesota. And pretty much he says most of the people in his college got hired fairly quickly. There are people in other colleges, though, that did not. But there is this need for people that can do mathematics and engineering and the sciences, that these are the applicable sciences that can be applied every day to day-to-day things like, high-end manufacturing and design work and stuff like that. There is a great demand for that. And we do not have enough people because there are too many people in this country that just don't like math. And so we've had to bring foreign workers here that do have this mathematics and engineering expertise that we need in our job system. Trump, though, has decided, this is he's going to get rid of this. And the problem is that he's just got such a simpleton's mentality because he's adult, because he's dumb. He's Trump. He's got this simpleton mentality that, like a McDonald's, where if you watch the 3 fry videos behind in the break room, you'll learn how to make crispy perfect fries. That's simple. He thinks that you can do that with an iPhone. that we're gonna have 3 10-minute videos, and here's how you assemble the iPhone. And Jethro, who has just been fired for the 6th time for being drunk on the job, who never finished high school, who basically has his own friends saying, hey, he's a nice guy when he stays off the bottle. That guy, they think they're going to take the guy with the advanced, engineering degree that's been assembling this product and replace him with Jethro, and things are going to work out just fine. Yeah, I want you to think about in the movie Armageddon when the guy starts hitting the space shuttle with a wrench and it starts. That's not real. Okay, that's not how it works. Okay, just FYI. Now, where's my booze? Jesus. Trump raised the fee for an H-1B visa to $100,000 on Friday, leaving companies scrambling to respond, with many left wondering whether their careers will remain intact. On Sunday, H-1B1 visa applications will require, as of yesterday, will require a $1,000 payment. I'm presuming this goes right to his bank account. Previously, visa fees range from $2,000 to $5,000 per application, depending on the size of the company. Employees now must have documentation of the payment prior to filing an H-1B petition on behalf of a worker. Applicants will have their petitions restricted for 12 months until the payment is made, according to the White House. The fee will only be applied to new H-1B applicants, not renewals or current visa holders. Although I will say many companies on Friday, when he announced this on Friday, many companies frantically got in touch with people saying, if you are on vacation, I understand this is not ideal. You need to get back here now. Do not wait until Sunday, because they did not trust this, that they felt as if these workers were not going to be allowed in, which led to apparently a lot of chaos. Those who already have an H-1B visas are located outside the U.S. will not be required to pay the fee to re-enter, though. Carolyn Levitt posted that clarified that $100,000 a one-time payment and not an annual charge. Exceptions can be made for any immigrant whose employment is deemed essential to the national interest of security of Homeland Security and does not pose a threat to the security and welfare of the United States. Employees with B visas who have start dates prior to October 2026 will also receive additional guidance in order to prevent those using those temporary businesses visas as a workaround for H-1B visas. So, it allows highly skilled foreign professionals to work in specific operations and occupations that generally require at least a bachelor's degree to fulfill the role. That bachelor's degree is a 4-year college degree. Jobs in the field of science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM usually are the ones where they qualify because we didn't want to learn math. And that's the problem is, okay, so most people that if you get one of these math or science, technology, you get these degrees, in engineering, you're hired pretty quickly. You're hired fairly quickly. And like I said, it's not absolute, but you're generally going to get a job because we are desperate for people that can do the STEM jobs in this country. And just there are too many people that don't want to do the STEM jobs. And so we are required just to have the functioning manufacturing, high-tech manufacturing base we have in this country to bring people on in. And yet, okay, sure, some companies are saying, fine, we'll pay the $100,000. That's just a miscalculation, they'll say. Fine, but this is going to stop people from bringing in more people. And no, Jethro ain't getting that job, okay? I'm just going to let you know. This is not a situation where Jethro is going to be able to come on in here and all of a sudden, I'm working for the iPhone people. It's going to be easy. Good luck with all that. Yet another thing that's going to cavitate the American economy. Chicago, Seattle, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
He's greedy. He's scrumptious. He's horrid. Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile the Musical is weaving its way onto the stage at Children's Theatre Company beginning October 1st, featuring eye-popping puppets, a rich score with great groove, and plenty of mischievous audience interaction. Don't miss the U.S. premiere of the smash UK hit. Get your tickets for The Enormous Crocodile the Musical today at childrenstheatre.org.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Your Need to Know News headquarters, the Tom Hartman Program, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Making a return with his late night show tomorrow, Jimmy Kimmel. At Donahue Reports, ABC announced it this afternoon.
Kimmel was suspended last week after saying this about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Kimmel supporters, like fellow host Stephen Colbert, stood by him.
That is blatant censorship.
ABC says we've spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy and reached the decision to return the show. President Trump called the suspension great news for America.
You know what suspended him? His talent.
FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr denies he threatened to revoke ABC's local station licenses because of what Kimmel said. I'm Ed Donahue.
Meantime, Sagar Magani reports the White House is standing behind its border czar.
MSNBC first reported Tom Homan accepted $50,000 from undercover FBI agents posing as business people seeking government contracts, which Homan suggested he could help them get in a second Trump term. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says that was a weaponized Biden Justice Department targeting a Trump backer.
To try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later.
The Trump Justice Department shut down a bribery probe.
And the White House and the president stand by Tom Homan 100% because he did absolutely nothing wrong.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
At the UN, French President Emmanuel Macron says France is officially recognizing the state of Palestine. And on Wall Street, the rally drives on, the S&P gaining 0.4%, the Dow adding 0.1%, the Nasdaq 0.7, all three again setting all-time highs. And Hurricane Gabriel's now a Category 4, on track to pass Bermuda. This is AP News.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hi, it's me, Flo, here to tell you that with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, you get 24/7 protection, so you're covered no matter where the day takes you.
Even bad hair day?
Yep.
And tree branch fell on my car day?
Especially that day. Progressive has you covered 24/7 for your home and auto.
How about thought it was chicken, but it was tuna day? Or overnight construction outside my bedroom day?
Those days too.
Great, because that was each day this week.
Been there. Well, at least your home and auto are covered every day with Progressive.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliate.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. It's the start of our favorite season in Minnesota, football season. With all the hype and action this season brings, we know things can get loud and messy quick. Before you invite your friends and family over to watch the big game, you better call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments in your home. And as always, you can score a guaranteed touchdown with great savings from Zero Res this month. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And this month you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus $75 off an air duct cleaning. And don't forget about your dryer vent, too. Having Zero Res over will be a big victory for your home. You'll always come away a winner, even if the guys in the purple or the maroon don't. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Liliak. Today, partly cloudy with a high of 73. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 58. Chef Carrie's always got something exciting cooking at Nightingale in South Minneapolis on the corner of 26th and Lindale. Don't miss out on the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. Visit nightingalempls.org to learn more or place a takeout order.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Monday. Nice to have you with us here today. Matt and Patrick here, 952-946-6205. Patrick, so what fun things did you do this first weekend? Well, is today the first day of autumn, or was it yesterday?
I believe it actually just started this afternoon, a couple hours ago, officially.
All righty. So fine. Welcome to autumn. It's the best, and my feeling, it's the best season in this town, hands down. Absolutely. What did you do this last week? Anything fun?
Just kind of hung around and took a break from things. Nothing too exciting.
I went for the first time to Allianz Field and caught the Minnesota United taking on Chicago Fire, and they got destroyed. But have you been to Allianz Field, man?
I actually, unfortunately, have not had a chance to go yet, so that's certainly something I should do.
That is one of the nicest fields I have ever seen. I think the first thing about it, which is nice, is it's not trying to be something bigger than it is. It is a nice, cozy, tight little facility, and it's stunning on the inside. It is absolutely... Allianz Field is really, really nice. And as a person who is a fan of soccer, football, as a fan of it, it is one of the nicer facilities I've seen. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. The team stunk. I don't know. I posted about this on Saturday night. Okay, they made horrible passes. They made horrible decisions. The defense was non-existent, and the refs weren't exactly doing us any favors during that entire game as well. But outside of that, they were great. They did fall 3-0. Someone told me they, for some reason, put in not even the B team. He said it was the D team. I don't know. They don't know why. Maybe just give players a chance. They'd already clinched a playoff spot, but man, they looked horrible in that game. They looked bad. But I did get a chance to have the food. All right, so here we go. Here's your breakdown of what I ate there, and I'll post pictures of this because, first of all, the Union Monk Kitchen, you guys, they've got a booth there. They've got a booth in Maddie Happy. That was my first stop. They have this like chicken bowl with rice noodles, all the good veggies and all that stuff in there. The one thing I'll say is that you need to put the vinaigrette on top of the chicken. When I mixed it all together, it was good. I had a first bite of chicken. I'm like, that was kind of flavorless. But when you mix it all together, fantastic, wonderful. So then I do get the Swedish meatball sub. Now, I go order it. I order it, pay for it, and I'm seriously 2 seconds after card accepted, payments run through. There's now more meatball subs, which led to about a 30-second moment of me staring at a terrified cashier who stared back at me, and I stared back at her. I stared back at me, stared back at her, stared back at me. She goes, hold on a second. She takes off. And they're like, okay, we need to refund this guy this money. But apparently that is not an easy thing to do. You would think it would just be, okay, last transaction, undo last transaction, done. No. Apparently you can't do it like that. So they were trying to, first of all, they tried to say, well, do you want anything else on the menu? No, I don't. I don't want the bucket o nachos. I don't. They then sent someone to run down to the next stand that actually still sold them, and they still had them, and they brought me back. There you go. I did get my Swedish meatball sub. I will say the Swedish meatballs on there are delicious. The bread, not that good. The dill on top of the meatballs, by the way, mwah, chef's kiss. And here is the best part about it. Here's the best part about that arena. The soft serve ice cream I had in that place was the best soft serve ice cream I have ever had in any sporting facility, period. I mean, sometimes, like you go to like the Twin Stadium and it's kind of this flavorless, cold, milky thing. It doesn't have, no, that stuff was gold. The stuff that I got was Dairy Queen level of flavor. I mean, it was good. And I was like, we're like, this is this as good as I think it is? It's fantastic. So there you go. There's the food breakdown of that Minnesota United Stadium. Worth the food. Do not play that lineup again. As a person that went to his first Minnesota United game, that's not the impression you want to leave people with. I'm willing to go back again. But if you guys all of a sudden say, hey, Matt, you want to come play some game? I'm like, okay, no, no, I don't want to run. 952-946-6205. The Vikings did very, very good. Were you happy with the Vikes this weekend?
Yeah, I was absolutely thrilled. It was very nice to just be able to sit back in the second half rather than wonder what's gonna happen.
Isaiah Rodgers, this just in, he's good. He's very good. Why? Any idea why he finally uncorked and off he went yesterday?
I think it just right place at the right time. It was Smith who tapped the interception to him, and then I think that was just good presence of mind to force the two fumbles that he did. The one he took back for the touchdown, the other one that set up a field goal at the end of the half. So yeah, he had the game of his life. Actually, the half of his life in the game of his life.
I like that, and I also say this, and we'll say the rest of the Vikings breakdown for when we talk to Broadcorp on Friday. But I'll say this: as someone posted, he says that team is an F1 sports car. That is, it is designed that if you put a driver in that knows the basics about how things go, you're on cruise control. And once again, we put Carson Wentz, an experienced quarterback, in there, and he knows how to drive the car. He says part of the problem that you're having is you're expecting, it's JJ McCarthy is just, you're giving the keys of this F1 to a 16-year-old who hasn't really driven. And that's a problem. So how do you get him up to speed? I don't know. But if all of a sudden we go to Dublin on Sunday and win that game convincingly, and then you go to London the week afterwards and win that weekend convincingly, then you have 2 weeks off because we got the bye week after that. I think it's going to be an interesting question about what exactly you do with that quarterback position. That's not the only sports. I do want to make sure I mention the Minnesota Lynx, who were fantastic yesterday, especially that second half. You guys were great. Courtney Williams scored game-high 23 points. Michaela McBride scored 21. Nafisa Collier added 18 and 9 rebounds as the Lynx defeated Phoenix 82-69 on Sunday, game 1 of the best-of-5 semifinal series. They trailed by as many as 9, faced a 7-point deficit at halftime, basically made adjustments, and they came up strong. Game 2 is Tuesday, tomorrow night in Minneapolis, before the teams head to game 3 in Phoenix. It's a best-of-5 series. The first round is best-of-3. Second round is best-of-5. The finals are best-of-7. That's how it works. I want to just say this. The WNBA hates the Minnesota Lynx. How did Nafisa Collier not win the MVP? How did she not win the MVP? Seriously, what else did she need to do to win the MVP?
I think it was those 2 weeks that she was out injured. I think that was probably the tipping point. And I'm not saying I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? I don't agree that she wasn't the MVP. I think it was just that injury that she had tipped the scales.
Last year, the WNBA's refs cost the Lynx the title. They basically made up phantom penalties, and then they weren't calling anything on the Knicks until the Knicks were able to win. And that was garbage in game 7. That was absolute garbage. That being said, this is absolute garbage. And I'll prove it. What happened to the Aces yesterday? They lost to Indiana. If you got the MVP on the team, you shouldn't be losing to a team that it was the 7 seed, the 6 or 7 seed.
And no Caitlin Clark on Indiana right now either.
Nope. That was all right. How about I get into something? I knew I was going to talk about this when I read the first line. Racket, you guys, the Racket guys are basically the phoenix that has risen from the ashes of City Pages. Racket is fantastic. If you've not subscribed, become a subscriber going online. Here is the first line of the story. Here it is. As you may have noticed, we live in hell. That's okay. That's called reeling in the reader. This is a story we reviewed Guy Fieri's new line of Holiday Station gas food for journalism, and their first line in the story is, "As you may have noticed, we live in hell." Now, I don't know what prompted this. I mean, Guy Fieri he's a guy that he does diners, drive-ins, and dives. He's done a lot of shows. I mean, he went to Al's, Gordy's Hi-Hat. He's been to a lot of places here in Minnesota. He's nice. He officiates gay weddings. He helped raise over $20 million for struggling restaurants during COVID. He makes he's fun online. He's basically he's a nice guy. Guy Fieri's a nice guy, which does bring up the question of, okay, what's with the gas station food? Reading from the Racket article, why would Guy lend his good name to a dog food grade gas station slop? Okay, that's their words, not mine. The short answer is likely licensing money from Holiday Station stores, where a Flavortown inspired rosters of hot grab and go foodstuffs debuted earlier this month. The menu is available at Holiday and Circle K locations in Minnesota, Alaska, Idaho, Michigan, Montana, North and South Dakota, Washington, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Flavortown is as much of a lifestyle as a place. So when it comes to great food and flavor, it's all about finding it wherever you are, Fieri explained in a press release. Over the last 2 days, they sampled every Flavortown menu item available to us at the Nicollet and Diamond Lake Holiday Store. The complete menu, they did not have the complete menu, but they had some of the options. The results, borderline inedible. Amid a dizzying list of ingredients, the packaging informed us that each product had been frozen ahead of its journey from California-based manufacturer distributor Golden West Food Group to gas station microwave. Yum. So here they go through. Here's the first one. The Denver omelet sandwich. Look at that soaked meat. God, it's a pretty good review. Yeah. The rubbery ham slices mostly take like sugar, although the guy's dogs didn't seem to mind it. Dry crackling brown remembers the first time in the freezer well. The egg product resembling wet foam, a 1 out of 5 out of 10. That's for the Denver omelet sandwich from Guy Fieri at a gas station. Also, the sweet heat fried chicken and waffle sandwich. I can tell you by the look of this ain't going to go well. Mush, mush, mush. No, I'm not leading any disobedient ham-enjoying dogs in the sled race. I'm describing the textureless waffle like a mapley toothpaste clinging for dear life. I will leave it at that. I'll let you read the rest of it. He did give that one 3 out of 10. The mac and cheeseburger. Pardon me a second. Oh, okay. It's syrup of Epicac for your eyes. Weird stank on patty. Read my scribbled notes. He gave that a 2 out of 10. The chicken royale. I don't know what what are we even doing here? I think the stress of doing this tasting finally weared off on him. What are we even doing here? It looks like Lord Voldemort's caboose cheek. Yeah, 3.5 out of 10. And finally, the cheeseburger burrito. Remarkably, the French fries inside this gummy tortilla were hard and undercooked. It was certainly what they'd reduced to mush, but somehow the Flavortown menu screwed up in an unexpected way. Points for that. Anyway, this is a hot, wet sock filled with ground beef and salt. Burritos, or Litos, I would argue those are good ones. 2 out of 10 there. I will say this. Okay, this is not about me being the highbrow latte sipping dude. I will say this. Holiday, you got a decent sandwich there in that sausage and egg McMuffin that you have. On the English muffin, I've had it multiple times. It's actually pretty tasty. I don't think it's the best thing. I would, I can point to other ones which are better, but in a pinch, that's not a bad sandwich. That is not a bad sandwich. the sausage and egg McMuffin from Holiday, which I think is actually made locally. That's pretty good. I've had more, like I said, I've eaten more than a few of those over the years. There have been one or two other items I've gotten at times when I just need to grab something quick. I'm heading on the road. Boom. It's fine. Some of it's fine. I don't know why you felt like you had to introduce this outside of making it feel like you are something a little bit more highbrow than you are. But dude, just own what you are. Don't try to invent yourself as, a sub-basement level of a McDonald's. Just you are what you are. This is, I'm going to post the article from Racket. I'll post it. You read it and support Racket. I'm going to guess the medical bills alone. They need your help. Okay. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Ooh, I get to expose the double standard when I get to come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids' tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is the perfect place for fun. Their bowling lanes are a blast. Their full menu is amazing. Burgers, tacos, wings, sliders, pizza, dinners, and more. Or try their weekend breakfast menu. Enjoy all the games on their numerous TVs while enjoying their drink menu and happy hour specials. And the patio is open to enjoy the warmer months. And even when it's not too warm, they've got heaters and curtains. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, your next get-together with friends or family will be great at the Park Tavern.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. Over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with All Energy Solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I actually, like I said, I don't mind that they have that egg, sausage, and cheese McMuffin. That it's I think it's okay. It's not the best thing, but it definitely is. It has good flavor, I think, at times. I mean, as long as it's not been there forever. All right, well done, Racket. Well done. Someone subscribe to them to show your appreciation. 952-946-6205. So there was another shooting in the city here, but I want to get into this. A man was shot and killed late last night over the weekend at a well-traveled Minneapolis intersection, officials said. Just before midnight on Saturday, officers responded to a report of gunfire near Chicago Avenue South and East Franklin Avenue. Police said shortly afterwards, a man was brought to HCMC where he died of a suspected gunshot wound, according to police. Police said that there was some sort of dispute before one or more shots were fired. The suspected shooter fled from the scene on foot, police said. Sounds like they have an idea who the shooter is. We'll have to find out. Of course, this will fuel the right-wing haters that want to scream, it's just a shooting gallery. Look at all the murder. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, there are people that live in this city that giddily enjoy, oh, it's the worst place ever. Oh, I hate it here. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, terrorist. I bring this up. I want to remind people that remember, these are the same people that we're talking about when Somalis were running around with fireworks. And they're talking about, look at the chaos they're causing. And I said, wait a second here. I was just up north for the 4th of July and saw some 7-year-olds chasing each other with sparklers and bottle rockets and stuff like that on the shores of a lake. And you guys will look at that and say, harmless fun. Look at that. That's Americana right there. And so some people have some fireworks in the city. Is it ideal? Maybe not, but I pointed out that your frustration with fireworks has far more to do with who's firing them off than the actual fireworks. You have no problem with the danger of fireworks when it's little Jimmy and Billy chasing each other up at the cabin. Oh, they're having fun. Oops, 3rd-degree burns. How many fingers do you have? Okay, that's right. You have no problem with that. But all of a sudden, black people got fireworks. Oh my God, chaos in the city. No-go zone. That's overrun. Okay, wait a minute here. Exactly. You get my point. We get this narrative, and it's pushed generally. Sometimes it is people in the city who just, are sycophants and hate the city, which once again, I want to lead you to this. If you hate it here, why are you here? Seriously, if you hate it here this much, why are you here? You have one trip around on the spinning rock. You need to go find your happy place. Go find where you're going to be happy. We won't miss you. You'll be happier. Win-win. Instead, you sit here and thinking you're making a difference when all it does is you're making a mess in your pants. That's all you're doing. But most of the people that are excited about this sort of thing are people that don't live in the city, who've got their own little inferiority complexes and like to sit out there and they say, oh, look at it, it's so bad in the metro area, so bad out there. Now, mind you, there are shootings out in rural America, but man, you don't understand. Okay, no, I understand. It's just, it doesn't fit your narrative. You want it to be about it. Most of it, you want it to be about minorities. You want it to be about black people and Native American people and Hispanic people and Asian people. You want it to be about, you want to fuel your racist beliefs or racist light beliefs. And so you eagerly dive into the cesspool that is these stories to be, yeah, it's so horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying that shootings are bad. Yes, they are bad. But I also have enough perspective to put this in the thing is it's a city of 3.7 million people. You're going to have stuff like this. That just happens. And we don't have, go to Louisiana, jeez, go to Mississippi, go to Alabama, go to Arkansas, go to Tennessee, go to the southeastern United States. Dear Lord, they've got a mess down there. But yet you don't, that doesn't serve your narrative. Areas where there's a white population where there's shootings happening, that's you don't understand. No, I understand. And I think we all understand what you're trying to say. But there was a part of this story that I just brought up that you guys kind of want to skip past. Let me continue with the next paragraph in this story. As of Monday morning, police have announced no arrests in connection with the city's 50th homicide of the year. According to the Star Tribune, that compares to 62 homicides at this time last year in the city. What was that again? We have 12 less homicides at the same time as we were last year. Well, that's actually a major improvement, isn't it? It's 12 less homicides. Basically about a fifth less homicides in the city. So, although not perfect, not ideal, still is better than it's been. Yet, that's never going to get covered. That's never going to be presented. That's never going to be there. It's always going to be, you're good, more good, more good. Ah! And it's time for me to step back and call out not only this pathetic attempt to just vilify Minneapolis because you're a sore loser that has no friends, and I can't help you with that. But once again, if you hate it here, why are you here? Go find your happy place. Seriously, go find where you're going to be happy. Live out the rest of your life with a smile on your face. We will not miss you. You will not miss us. End of story. Instead, I got to deal with you clowns. So fine, I will when I come back from the break. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show on a Monday.
Hi, this is Laura with Food Freedom Radio, and I invite you to discover 2 local grocery stores with a global fare. Market Fresh, south of Rosedale, carries fresh vegetables, quality meats, seafood, and a wide variety of grocery staples, all in a welcoming store. Shanghai Wholesale Market is in the St. Paul Midway area, and it's a food warehouse open to the public. Shanghai Wholesale carries more than 500 types of noodles. And frankly, it's time for Minnesotans to learn that pasta is a little bit more than spaghetti noodles and tuna casserole. There's sweet potato, bean, rice, fresh, frozen, rye. It's a paradise for those seeking gluten-free pasta. Also, both Market Fresh and Shanghai Wholesale Market seek to buy local, so you can look for local quail eggs, unique cheeses, and Minnesota-made tofu. Open the door to food abundance. Discover Market Fresh, your local Asian food store just south of Rosedale, and Shanghai Wholesale Market, your local international food warehouse north of Menards in the St. Paul Midway area.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
He's greedy. He's scrumptious. He's horrid. Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile the Musical is weaving its way onto the stage at Children's Theater Company beginning October 1st, featuring eye-popping puppets, a rich score with great groove, and plenty of mischievous audience interaction. Don't miss the U.S. premiere of the smash UK hit. Get your tickets for The Enormous Crocodile the Musical today at childrenstheater.org.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with low of 58. Then Tuesday, patchy fog and sunshine with a high of 74. Don't miss Sasha Colby's Strip 2 Tour, an electrifying blend of dance, storytelling, and drag artistry at the Fillmore Minneapolis, October 9th. Tickets at thefillmoreminneapolis.com. Listen to The Gately Show and The Matt McNeil Show all week for your chances to win. ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, broadcasting from Minneapolis, St. Paul, the finest city in the world. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Yeah, maybe I do feel that way. I love this town. I love this town. We got some great cities. I talk about Chicago. Chicago's a great town. Seattle's a great town. Boston's a great town. There are great cities in this country. I've been to a good chunk of the world, too. I mean, I've traveled extensively in Europe, and, you know, Dublin is gorgeous. I love Dublin, Ireland, and Galway, Ireland is also just as nice. I had a great time up in Edinburgh. I had a great time in Glasgow. You know, I was stationed in the military in Nuremberg. Berlin was very interesting. Rome, Paris. Well, at that time, there was a lot of trash in Paris, and it did not smell great, but pretty city where they cleaned it up. And I love this town. I really do. I love Minneapolis, St. Paul. And so, yeah, I have a little bit of a problem with people whose entire life, their sad, pathetic life, is to get people to hate the town we live in. Really? You got one trip around on this rock, and that's how you're spending your life? No one will remember you for this. No one will. No one will. And so at the end of your life, you're going to realize that, and you're going to say, I could have gone, I don't know where, Idaho, Montana, Utah, Florida. You could have gone someplace where you would have been happier, and instead you decided to stay here and be miserable. Man, that's not about me. That's about you. That being said, it is getting tiresome to watch every time there's a shooting that just people in Minneapolis, gunfire, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Now, I could take some time. As a matter of fact, the Bloomberg guys did that one great story a few years back where they went and looked at how dangerous things were across the country. And the most dangerous counties are by far the rural counties. And what hides that is large metro areas with large populations seem to get more attention because there are 3.7 million people in an area, that you're going to have more murders than you would in a town of 10,000. But when the ratios, one does happen there, you would need basically 3,000 murders to happen in the city to match up with that one in the 10,000 person town or so. So it's kind of one of those things where the small towns hide the problems that they have. And that Bloomberg story, and I'll see if I can find it again, it is a great story. I highly recommend reading that one. And it kind of exposes this truth. Because that's the great ugly secret. And I got into a bit of a back and forth with a guy from outstate Minnesota who basically was one of these people who Minneapolis, all sorts of problems. You can't go out anymore. It's like, how often do you get down there? Well, hardly ever. But I mean, yeah, of course, then shut up. Just shut up. You don't know anything about the city. But it doesn't stop you from talking authoritatively about that. That means you're an idiot. But he kind of came at me, and I just sort of said, okay, fine. Let's do this. Let's do this. I mean, you guys in rural America are so central focused on metro areas, but yet you don't want to look at the problems that you have in your own communities. Well, we don't have problems in our own communities. I said, of course you do. I'll give you a great example of it. How many freaking ATV deaths do we have per year in this state, in outstate Minnesota? Preventable ones, where it's either somebody going way too fast, or somebody drunk as a skunk, or some grown adult saying, I'll let my 5-year-old drive one of these things. All of them preventable. But Matt, you don't get that. Well, I do get that. As a matter of fact, if I may, Morrison County Sheriff's Office reported that on Saturday, approximately 6:51 p.m., their office received a report of an ATV accident on Grouse Road, approximately 4 miles north of Little Falls in Greenberry Township. According to the Sheriff's Office, a 17-year-old juvenile male from Little Falls was traveling south on Grouse Road in the ditch, and he lost control of the ATV, and it rolled. The 17-year-old was thrown from the ATV. The ATV ended up landing on him. He was wearing a helmet, but he was transported to the Mayo Clinic ambulance in St. Gabriel's Hospital, where LifeLink transported him to Hennepin County Medical Center with unknown injuries. I guarantee you, if they had to use LifeLink, they were serious. And that stuff happens all the time. You know, and Monument, there was an ATV crash. 3 injured. All 3 had to have life flights. That was in August. Also in August, Northern Minnesota investigating 2 people died in an ATV crash on Saturday night. The crash happened before 9:20. According to the Carleton County Sheriff's Office, the 911 caller said the crash happened in Ditch Bank Forest Road in Progress Township, located about 40 miles west of Duluth. The sheriff said the 48-year-old and a 59-year-old of Homestead, Iowa, were died in the crash. People in the scene of the crash attempted CPR but were unsuccessful. Carleton County Sheriff Kelly Lake says deputies learned the pair had been traveling in a side-by-side type ATV with a group of other riders. When they were separated from them, someone from the group found them with the ATV overturned in the water. The incident comes a week after another fatal ATV crash, which happened on the Iron Range Off-Highway Vehicle State Recreation Area, about 70 miles northeast of Progress Township. Tia Mueller, a 28-year-old firefighter, was found dead and pinned under an ATV. Her husband, 25-year-old Jonathan Mueller, suffered serious injuries. I mean, you have these happen all the time. I mean, and this is an epidemic. And to give you an idea, for as many ATV accidents that happen out in rural Minnesota, there would probably have to be 20 or 25 accidents happening in the Twin Cities metro area to offset that. I mean, that would be the comparable. This stuff happens out there all the time. And that's not a concern for you. And this is where this well, and I'll say that. I'll say that. He's like, well, that's different. No, it's not. It's preventable. A lot of the times it's preventable. Like I said, speed, alcohol, or an adult allowing an underage child to operate these vehicles without understanding they're a vehicle. And I don't want to hear this. You don't understand the country way, Matt. No, I lived in Bemidji, and that winter I lived up there in Bemidji, there were so many snowmobile accidents where the guy was going 100 and some miles an hour. The worst one was some idiot was out in the median of the interstate, hit a deadhead out in the middle of the interstate, one of those big ice chunks, and launched himself at about 100 miles an hour into the grill of a freaking semi. No, he didn't make it. You guys, you want to ignore this. These deaths by stupidity that happen out there while you sit there and so hyperventilate over a shooting in Minneapolis when you've got people getting killed by ATVs rolling in your own community. Fine. Okay, you don't want to go there? Let's talk about meth. Because meth is actually a much bigger problem than any kind of homicide rates in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I went back and looked at meth. And meth, I talked about this a few years ago on one of the holiday interviews. I had an incredibly disturbing and sad interview with a mom who got, and this was in Missouri, got a front row seat for the great American drug epidemic, which is meth. And I'm not saying fentanyl is not there's not a problem. As a matter of fact, fentanyl and opiates are the number one cause of drug overdose in the state of Minnesota. Absolutely. And those things we should address too. But meth is the homegrown drug. There are meth labs across rural Minnesota. They're in the metro area sometimes too. They are everywhere. But it's not something that is being shipped in for you. No, there are plenty of meth labs in rural America. And those meth labs are producing a drug which is killing meth alone, 538 people per year in the state of Minnesota. That is a major freaking problem. And that is not a Minneapolis, St. Paul only problem. That is everywhere. That should be setting off red flags and alarms and whistles and sirens. We should be doing everything in our power to do that. And you know why? 538 deaths per year in Minnesota. Rural, country, urban, white, black, everywhere. Number of homicides in Minneapolis in 2024, 76. The number in St. Paul, 32. Total of 108 homicides in Minneapolis and St. Paul in 2024. That's 1/5 of the amount of deaths by meth in this state. 1/5. And yet you guys don't want to talk about that at all. At all. Which is a far larger problem. And it's not just something that you can sit in your farmhouse out in rural America and wag your finger at the metro area. That's happening everywhere. But you don't care about that because that's not a black guy with a gun. You should be concerned about that. You should be very concerned about that. Yet you aren't. You could care less about that. This is when outstate guy looks at me and says, well, Matt, you're inserting yourself into the personal struggles of everyday people just to try to make a political point. And I said, what did I just do? Because isn't that exactly what you are doing every time you obsess about one murder in Minneapolis? You don't care about the people involved because it's just black guy with a gun. Well, until you find out it might be a white guy with a gun. And if it's a white guy and a gun, trust me, those guys drop their outrage real fast. Real fast. No, you guys constantly trounce on any other thing that you can and try to abuse the situation so that you can vilify the people that you want to vilify. And I point out that, well, okay, fine. You don't want to think the ATV problem is and snowmobile problem is as big of a problem. Fine, that's no problem. Okay. Meth is a 5 times larger problem, and you guys don't care. Why? Because it doesn't allow you to vilify. It doesn't allow you to vilify. It doesn't allow you to demean, to insult, to attack. You're so ready to go with your, I hate that metro area, when it really is, I don't like black people. And if I can use a tragedy in the Twin Cities and politicize it and use it to create a narrative, I will do it in a heartbeat. But God forbid somebody point out it's a far bigger problem, especially in rural America, with the drug issues out there. By the way, I should mention, I'm just talking about meth. Yes, fentanyl, opiates, 1,200 people. 1,200 people. That's 12 times as many people that died in Minneapolis and St. Paul from homicide. And no, they're not stopping, they're not stopping the drug flow. Every dollar they're sending on the federal government spending right now is about rounding up people. Has nothing to do with the drug flow. And I guarantee you a lot of the drugs are coming in with Butch and Steve and Mike. Nope. This is the reality. You guys ignore. And how much does this problem fester in your own communities out there, in your own towns? How many meth labs are there? Because the only focus you have is, did somebody die in Minneapolis today? If so, I'm on there. Can't go down there. It's a shooting gallery. Yeah, they're shooting up something else near you. You don't like this spotlight being put on you? Then stop putting the spotlight on other people. I mean, there was another one today, KSTP here in town, running about the Gold Line. Nobody's riding the Gold Line bus. Okay, they just launched that. Fine. If you're working against it, I mean, if it's like the Republicans who basically worked it hard to shut down the commuter rail that was going up to Big Lake, fine. But the reality is you know what the far bigger problem is? Try being an elderly person who lives on a farm that just lost their driver's license, and you want to go to church or to a medical appointment or to the grocery store in town. Good luck, unless you can find somebody who's going to drive you and then wait for you to get done. There's no, I've talked about expanding metro mobility throughout the state for years because there's a real transportation problem in rural America. But you see, that doesn't bother you guys. Grandma and Grandpa, yeah, fine. I guess I have to drive 2 hours over to Grandma's house just so I can take her to the hair salon and take her to the pharmacy. That doesn't bother you at all. But here you are obsessing about the goal line, empty buses. Got him. It's just sad. You guys are sad. You want to turn everything into the worst crisis ever when it's Minneapolis to St. Paul, while far larger problems that plague your communities you don't give a rat's caboose about, because it's not a black guy in Minneapolis with a gun. Grow the F up. How about I say it like that? Grow the F up. And if you don't like it here, why are you here? Seriously, why? This town's amazing. I love being in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm not leaving. No matter how hard you try to push your hate porn narrative on this city, I'm not leaving. But yet you are going to spend the rest of your life here hating this, as opposed to go find whatever beach or forest or prairie or desert view that you want that will make you happy. There's one sad thing in this city and in this state, and it's that. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come back. Matt McNeil Show on your Monday.
Hey, Francois, where are we going and why do you have so many canvas bags?
Salut Laura, on y va chez Nicolette's Macarons.
Oh, I've never been to Nicolette's store. They're just off Highway 169 and 36th in Plymouth.
Oui, ils ont 16 saveurs de macarons là.
They have 16 flavors of macaroons at the store. That's why you have so many canvas bags. I love how Nicolette supports small food entrepreneurs. Let's hurry. They're open afternoons, Wednesday through Friday, and midday on Saturdays.
Nicolette, c'est génial. Allons-y.
Let's go.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. It's the start of our favorite season in Minnesota, football season. With all the hype and action this season brings, we know things can get loud and messy quick. Before you invite your friends and family over to watch the big game, you better call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments in your home. And as always, you can score a guaranteed touchdown with great savings from Zero Res this month. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And this month you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus $75 off an air duct cleaning. And don't forget about your dryer vent, too. Having Zero Res over will be a big victory for your home. You'll always come away a winner, even if the guys in the purple or the maroon don't. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, partly cloudy with a high of 73. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 58. Don't miss your chance to set sail with Treasure Island this fall at Children's Theater Company. Join young Jim Hawkins and the infamous Long John Silver on an adventure packed with pirates, sword fights, live music, and heart-pounding action. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today at childrenstheater.org.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I don't know what got me more fired up. I mean, having to wait for my meatball sub at Allianz Field or Nafisi Collier getting denied the MVP. I think it was the last one. I think it got me fired. I'm with you. Yeah, you got robbed. You got robbed, man. Let's just call it what it is. You got robbed. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I saw this story. I want to read this story just because you don't realize what a mess is coming our way with all this big, beautiful bill crap when it comes to the Republicans gutting Medicaid and Medicare. Nearly 300,000 pieces of paper related to applications for Medicaid and other forms of public assistance passed through the government office in Stearns County alone last year. 300,000 pieces of paper just in Stearns County dealing with Medicaid and other forms of public assistance. The figure is about to grow exponentially once Republicans' sweeping overhaul of Medicaid takes place, said Melissa Huberty, administrator for the county's Human Services Department. The office is already drowning in paperwork. I can't even comprehend that. I can't even comprehend how much paperwork you're talking about here. 300,000 pieces just for Stearns County. And this is before they're changing the system. The office is already drowning in the paperwork, about 30,000 phone calls a month. All right. Well, that's basically 1,000 phone calls a day. 1,000 phone calls a day. And they're not open every day, which means probably 1,250 calls per workday. Roughly 1/3 of the states, including Minnesota, delegate at least some of the work to vetting and processing Medicaid applications to the counties. Over $160 million a year is what Minnesota's Department of Human Resources estimates is the additional paperwork related to the work reporting requirements alone it will cost its local and state and tribal governments. Without additional state and federal funds, cash-strapped counties may have to raise property taxes to help cover the cost. Eventually, it's going to come down to a decision of how much you want to pay in taxpayer dollars to process all the paperwork. And it should be noted, this is one of the things that, was it John Oliver on Last Week Tonight? He brought this up. He said, the main goal here is not only to boot people off, but the people who are still on it, to create such a massive amount of paperwork that it becomes prohibitive for people to want to do this. And he pointed to, I think it was in Georgia, their health system that they had down there and how that basically ended up, causing a lot of problems. Yeah. That's what this is about. When a Minnesotan fills out the online application versus the state's MinHealth site, the system spits out a paper form that the county worker then needs to manually input into their system. Upgrading those systems statewide would cost hundreds of millions of dollars that counties just don't have. Associate Minnesota County's Executive Director Julie Ring chimed in on that one. And there's no way such an undertaking could be done by the January 1st, 2027 start date of the Medicaid changes. Now, so once again, because when Stauber and Fischbach and Opie down in one and Emmer all sit there and say, well, the state has the option. They couldn't, even if they put all this money into place and immediately went out and did this. There's no way on the planet they could get it done in time. There's just no way they could. Even if county workers keep up, Huberty fears the new requirements will result in many people who should be eligible losing coverage due to paperwork errors or missed deadlines. That was the whole point. Republicans are purging people off Medicaid and Medicare with a smile on your face and telling you, eat that crap sandwich. It's a filet mignon. She estimated 75% of the forms submitted now contain outdated or incorrect information. So this is by design, because this is Republican Christianity. If you take care of the sick, screw them. There's a billionaire that needs a tax break. So we're going to let all the sick people die and give all their money to billionaires because we're Republicans. And that's what the Republicans do. I can't wait until we get to next year. You are going to get some very interesting Republicans saying, you know what? The Republicans made a mistake. While some Republicans say we were perfect. It will be a hoot. And regardless, make sure everyone votes, for God's sakes. Native Roots Radio is up next. We're back tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
This year, the magic is calling you like never before.